it's anybody's first time watching it, The Uninvited.
It was my
Oh,
first time
It's
watching
oh
it.
mine.
yeah? Oh yeah? Okay.
Mm-hmm. It was
Everyone?
mine also.
Everyone?
Yep,
Yeah.
everyone.
Oh,
Wild.
I know, and I could have sworn
Well,
you had said you were already familiar with it.
I am confusing it with a different film of the same, very similar name. So I had not ever
Oh,
seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool.
Well, with that, why, hello, and welcome to issue 753 of Geek in the City of Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Aron Duran.
I'm one of your other hosts, Beanarita.
I am your other host, Cable Hashitani.
And I'm your other host, Anastasia
Yeah.
Elman.
Yeah.
Woo! Good to see you.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Oh, so yeah, how's everyone been?
Pretty good overall, I think.
I know I'm thinking of what's happening in our world and our country and our backyard. I'm like, none of us really have like things are fucking righteous
I have
lately.
something righteous, just
What?
just
Yeah.
just to
What's
get the
that?
ball rolling, right? So I'm back on my bullshit, and even though I
Which
recently,
one?
I'm telling you which one. Even though I recently bought a new lectern for my bullet journaling, uh, everyone at the office decided to try out Hobonichi planners for the first time. And then I was so excited for them. And then I got like FOMO. So then I went and got a Hobonichi planner instead. And this time I actually bought like Hobonichi brand covers with all the fancy pockets. And I got like a little pencil board so that so I don't like press too hard on my paper. And I got like all these little sticky tabs for dividers. And the clear cover that goes over the PVC cover has a pocket so I can carry extra stickers. And then there's all the crazy like extra little freebies they give you, like this little cartoon.
Uh-huh.
His name is Tuxedo Hobo or something like that. It's literally like a tuxedo mask ripoff. And so I've just been like obsessively like filling out my planner since like mid-January and like putting tabs in and it
I
just
have a qu- I have a question. Does it actually help you organize and plan?
yeah,
Like really?
absolutely. Yeah, totally.
Okay. Because the
And
way you're
because
describing that, I'm like, that's just an adult activity book, which is fine.
yeah, well, what's wrong with activity books?
I
No,
didn't say it was.
it has essentially like two different formats for like a full year view. It's got monthly two-page spreads. It has weekly single or double-page spreads that are horizontal, so you can like time block or like track what you've done throughout the course of the day in time sections, and then it has
Hmm.
a full page for every single day, and it's an A5 size notebook, so it's like the perfect size. I can write down like everything that I'm doing at work. I have room for like some journaling, and I can even like if I really wanted to rewrite the schedule for that day on the daily page.
Okay.
It's fantastic. I love it.
All right, cool.
Yay.
I've just got my little planner I got from Sea Grape a few weeks ago. It's been nice. Little stuff.
I've transcended beyond the traditional American planner. None of them ever. That sounds really smug, but for like years, you might remember, like back in the day, before I discovered bullet journaling,
Hmm.
I would make my own planners. Like I would print off my own like formats and like bind them together or get like a little mini binder. And this brand of planner is the only kind that I've ever successfully used for an entire year and didn't just give up on after like 3 months. And it's the only
Hmm.
one I've ever used more than 1 year. So if
Cool.
that should tell you something.
Well,
It
that's
looks
important.
expensive.
They are, but they're really satisfying. And again, like if it's the planner that I will actually use all 12 months and then buy another one willingly, happily, then it's worth it.
Look, I'm not gonna judge you on that part because whenever I do any kind of role-playing game, whether I'm running or playing it, most people are happy with maybe just a little thing of paper or some note. No, I need a special with its own rings, its
Ooh.
design, with inserts that I can fill. I can add to it. It has built-in rulers that extend. Um, I buy one of these every time I have a new campaign idea.
I think it's the same thing.
Whether I run the fucking thing or not.
Also, those are
So
called
I can't
discs.
judge. Yeah, disc, you're right. I'm sorry. Because like
And
there's
I
one
have the
of ooh,
special hole
that's the
puncher
year
for that if you
I had
ever
a
need it.
leather bound one once that was really cool.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. I kept it because it's just so pretty.
See, now we got the ball rolling on good things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
And it ended there.
I know, it's good. I made it weird. How about you guys? Have you thought of anything like really, really positive from the last couple of weeks?
Um, I think the thing that I did for myself uh, was I ordered 3 more Starfleet uniforms.
Nice.
One of them is specifically a dress uniform so that I can perform a wedding in it in March.
Oh, you're doing it now.
I'm doing it? What do you
March
mean?
3rd.
Who's wedding?
Oh wait, you never mind. This isn't off the air.
No.
I forget. Crank caller.
I don't is thinking of a different wedding.
Yep.
Anyway,
I am he is. I know which one he's
Yep.
thinking of. No, I'm not doing that one.
Right. I forgot the
I'm
other one.
doing our fellow Usagi
Our
player
Rhino.
Justin.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm performing his and his fiancee Amelia's wedding in March on March 14th because it's a Pi Day wedding. Sci-fi Pi Day.
Wah, wah.
Oh.
very
So
nice.
I ordered a lower decks all white dress uniform,
Oh,
and
the
then
bellhop uniforms.
yeah, and then 2 Strange New Worlds uniforms, one captain and one captain casual duty.
Ooh, Strange New
Nice.
Worlds, nice.
Yep. So
Do you see that
yeah.
Volante is doing lower decks jackets?
Yeah.
Sorry, and we're
Yeah.
just just nerding out over here. What about you,
No,
Anastasia?
I
Anything that
love
kind of
it.
like here's was a positive thing? Like what's some good stuff?
What's
Oh
been
man,
getting you by lately?
what's good? I don't know. I mean, it's just like more of the usual over here. We're just planning festivals and performances and uh, just doing all the normal stuff. I don't know. Trying to survive out here.
Yeah, that's for
We're
sure.
getting
That's for
we're
Yeah.
sure.
getting some rain tonight and because we our like home is over 100 years old, so it's like this fun game of like where's the new leak and what like priceless artifacts do I have to like try to
Oh
hide.
Uh,
So it's just like it's super fun. It keeps me young. It's fine.
no.
No, that
Never a
game, it
dull
sucks.
moment.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
that's like what comes with like owning a house. It's like all the upkeep, it's so goofy and ridiculous. And especially like an ancient gal, let's say, she
Hmm.
she she's pretty interesting.
How old is your gal?
I think she was 1920s, so like we're over 100 now, but she was like one of the first, and we're under the Hollywood sign, so she was like one of the first. And we have like a back place and then a front area, and so like a lot of like studio heads probably lived here, and a lot of stars, and like Betty Davis lived here, and Michelle
Oh, wow.
Pfeiffer, and Robert Downey Jr. and Sarah Jessica Parker as a couple lived here. I probably mentioned that before. Like they did a whole like photo shoot in my home,
No.
Yeah.
and so I want to like reenact all of their poses. Like there's some in our kitchen and on our like roof deck and stuff. I want to do that with Rick someday. But like him in like his clown outfit.
That
That would
sounds
be
like it'd be a lot
fun.
of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an old gal for sure. You gotta, there's always something.
Literally, I wish there wasn't. I wish you would just like calm down and just be easy going.
That
All right.
means
Well,
you might live close to Kevin Smith too then. Because much to his daughter's chagrin, he never shuts up about the exact area he goes jogging where he lives. And she's like, Dad? He's like, if they were gonna come for me, they'd come for me a long time ago.
I mean, he's got a point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. So many people live in this neighborhood, but I don't run into I hardly run into anybody we know, even like our tenants or like friends. Like sometimes I'll run into like Joe Dante or like Ron Perlman or uh just like random people like at our local grocery store, Gelson's. Like I'll see a bunch of people.
They're like,
But
we're
I'm
never
gonna
sure
take
but
that's
over,
never
you
just
like
eat.
walking around, it's
Right.
like
Right.
like half the time it's like a PR thing and I'm just like in like my yoga stuff and a hat, like sunglasses, like trying not to be like I don't want to run into any friends.
You
Well,
don't want to
like,
run into anyone uninvited?
Oh, there
oh,
we go. Segue.
Nailed
Perfect.
it.
good segue. It's a good
Yeah.
segue.
So
yeah.
that, go ahead.
So this week, Anastasia's choice for our Film Fever watch is the 1994 Universal, I believe it was. Uh, The Uninvited.
1944.
44.
What did I
1944.
say? Was that not what I said?
1994.
Nope, that's not right at all. No,
And it was
1944. I absolutely meant
Yes.
44. The Uninvited,
and it was
uh,
a Paramount joint.
Paramount.
Yes.
This is what I get for not pulling up my notes.
That's all right.
Um, yeah, it's a, it is a very, I'm going to say, I don't want to say straightforward, but it's a haunted house story. Uh, and there's no twist. It's just a straight up haunted house story. I mean,
Right.
why it's haunted is definitely like of worthy of conversation, but I wouldn't call it a twist, Anastasia. I see you reacting down
I don't
there.
know. I don't
I,
know.
I would also
I feel
call it
like
a
it's a
twist.
I feel like there's a bunch of twists, but I'm
Yeah.
drawn, so
I guess what I mean is like it's not I think Adon alluded to this in some of the email conversations where it's um let me think the Babadook, for example, is a yeah, is an example of a movie where someone is haunted. No, it's not a ghost, but
okay, I get what
just
you're
bear with me.
saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
It's
No, that
really it's about grief, right? Like it's very
mhm.
clear by the end of the movie that it's a story about grief. Um, and was there ever really a
As well as
ghost?
being a gay icon.
Yes. Uh, I will never really understand how that came to be, but I'm here for it.
Same thing.
That is
That
an
that
end
one.
of the show conversation.
Yes.
All right, we'll come back to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, all I mean to say is that like it is ghosts in the uninvited.
How can be
Uh,
is
Right.
ghost.
Okay.
But yes.
it's definitely a ghost or two.
Well, I think one of the talking points I said, like, we can maybe mention this, is that in that era, um, like a ghost story was always, in the end, it was always something like real, or the woman was just hysterical and it was on her brain with her female problems. But this one is
Oh,
like, no, it's a ghost. Like, and I feel like it's like one of the first major Hollywood films to be like, no, it is a ghost. Like, we're not sure there's symbology, but it's a fucking ghost, y'all.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was definitely I in my mind the very first one film to take ghosts seriously, to not make them the butt of the joke. It wasn't like a Laurel and Hardy or something like, Three Stooges thing where it's like, oh yeah, there's like a ghost, but like what you guys were saying, it ends up being somebody or, an emotion or something like that. But this is like a literal like haunting. So that
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
And everyone
like
takes
the
it
cornerstone.
seriously.
Yes.
There's
Yes, it's
no there's no arguing about whether or not ghosts are real, and And whether or not someone is just being hysterical, they're just like, okay, there's a ghost. What do we do about it?
Yeah, that was kind of one of my notes, like rewatching it again. Um,
Hmm.
that it was kind of like it was a matter of fact. There was no argument really. I mean, there was like some a little bit like with the grandfather, obviously. And I guess like we're like this is spoiler. So like if you
I
Oh
haven't
yeah.
feel
watched
okay.
it, please, like I told you guys, do not watch the trailer. Don't look into it. Just go in blind because it's so
We
good and
didn't.
it's
Yep.
worth
Yeah.
it.
I think we can
Uh,
spoil something that's over 80 years old.
I mean,
uh,
I did a post and people are like talking to me like I've never even heard of this movie. I'm like, "Are you okay? Like go see this movie. It's like a cornerstone like haunted house like it literally created that genre, I feel like, in a way
Hmm.
for on this level of taking it seriously. I mean, obviously there are others, but to me,
I'll give the synopsis really quick. A composer and his sister discover that they are able to purchase this beautiful mansion on the English coast.
Yes.
Um,
Irish.
Cornwall.
for
Yeah.
Irish.
Isn't
They're
it?
in
Okay.
Ireland.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
that's
I
right.
didn't. I could have sworn it was England.
I
Anyway, they
figured that
buy
out on
this.
my second watch.
So they buy this gorgeous mansion, like overlooking the ocean and the cliffs, for a very reasonable price. And the owners, the family that owns it, the grandfather's like, we're fucking selling it. And the granddaughter is like, no, no, that house is part of our family. You can't do this. Um, and then the granddaughter befriends the home buyers, and so she's coming around the house that she, was born in,
Right.
and some strange happenings start to happen, which the buyers were warned about. It's funny.
Oh,
What?
oh, were you just taking a long pause?
Oh, I guess I was. Sorry. I wasn't
I
like
thought everything froze. I was like, whoa. Okay.
no,
It,
I'm
it it froze for me earlier, and I was like, oh my God, nobody's like mentioning
oh
it. It's gonna be me.
no. No, the wheels were just
Okay.
caught
Sorry.
somewhere. So they approach the family who owns the house and they want to buy it. And it's right from the beginning, it's a little bit weird. Like he wants to sell the house, but he's like, but also there's these weird issues that people complain about. So on one hand, there's a lot of intention for transparency,
Hmm.
but also I feel like some stuff kind of like got swept under the rug, right?
Hmm.
And you
Yes.
guys can jump in at any point.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely gives that vibe of like an ancestral call, which is why like the granddaughter doesn't want to leave, but the grandpa's like, no, we're done with this place.
Hmm.
Like, I I'm done with it. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of how I felt about that. They weren't hiding what was with the house when they sold it, but they were even for that era, selling it that cheap was like a red flag kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So it was pretty good. Trying to think, like, what did like Anastasia? What did you feel about like the ghost as the setup kind of thing?
Well, okay. So this was not my first time watching. So I grew up on this film, and so it was interesting to watch just with the mindset of okay, find talking points, talk like I have so many notes about like my favorite moments, and I actually watched it like 3 or 4 times just leading up to this, and then one of the times was with my daughter Audrey, which is really special because that was her first time seeing it. And then my husband Rick, like he wanted to watch it, but then he kept on like walking away, and then he would come back and then like get stuck watching it because it's so great. I mean, just like what do you mean? Like overall, what are my thoughts on the film, or like specifically the ghost
Just
element?
like, yeah, how they're presenting the ghost element. I think is that where we were going, Denise, or did I completely go?
I mean, I was just talking about the beginning. They find this house. It is for sale, but there's obviously some like
My thought
debate.
Yeah, my thoughts on the beginning. Oh my God. I thought it was so wonderful how they had the narration going over and how it was so quick. I mean, I think that this script is so sharp. It's so funny. Every line is hilarious, and like the way that they deliver it is so funny, and then also like terrifying at some points, obviously. But the beginning, I just loved how they just like effortlessly went over like the backstory of kind of like what's happening. You get like kind of like hints, and it's kind of it's pretty spooky, you know?
Hmm.
And then it's all of a sudden cheerful, and that kind of foreshadows the whole vibe of the film, right? Because it goes from cheerful, happy, wonderful comedy, and then it
Hmm.
goes to straight terror. And I love
Mhm.
the tonality shifts and how like there's zero effort going into, I mean, just as a viewer for me to watch, it doesn't feel choppy, it doesn't feel forced. I mean, we're watching all of these wonderful just veteran stage actors just having fun. And then if you know anything about the director, Lewis Allen, he came from the stage.
Yeah.
And this is his debut film, which is insane, you know. Like, sorry, I could go on and on about this. I love
No,
this.
do it.
No, but I
Uh,
liked I liked how they snuck in little seeds of doubt kind of in the middle. 'Cause it's like you see the brother and sister. I mean, nowadays it's
Hmm.
like a little weird, but back then, like people are living together, I guess, like, pulling resources and, buying a huge mansion, I guess, to live in. And so it's kind of interesting just like how it just bounces back and forth, to me.
you
What
can
about you
kind
guys?
you can kind of see like this is the template that almost every haunted house story follows. You move into the beautiful new house. Maybe even you get to have the scene where they discover the house and fall in love with it. But right from the beginning, there are these little weird things that happen that either go unnoticed or are just not recognized for what they are, which is hints at further horrors to come. And then, then they're moving in and something weird happens. And then it's the first night in the house. Um, and there's even that element of like, I'm being silly. I'm just gonna like blow the candles out and jump under the covers. Um,
Yeah.
even though I'm an adult and I shouldn't feel scared right now. That that formula of like it being lighthearted and entering an exciting new stage in life until you can no longer ignore the signs and now you're full on dealing with a ghost.
Right. Which, quick side note, in every movie, um, buying the house in the countryside or taking over the ancestral home never fixes your relationship. It never makes it better. Just
But
not
I
saying
think
you shouldn't do that,
let's
but
try just one more time, though. I think it'll
oh,
work this next time. That's
maybe
what
this time.
I'm feeling that.
Yeah, but it is a cool house.
It's so
So,
gorgeous, isn't it? Oh my God.
yeah.
I think it
I
was so
mean, I'll
funny
be
that
no, go ahead. I'm just
it's
making more
it's
jokes.
it was so funny that when they discover the room that will be the studio, and she's like, "Oh, this is the one ugly room in the house." I'm like, "This room is bitchin'."
Yeah.
Actually, first I said it must have been an old Arby's, but it is a bitchin' room. Come on, you
Wait,
remember an old Arby's?
Yes.
no. I didn't
For
go to
some
Arby's
reason
till I
they were
moved to Portland.
okay. So you do know an Arby's.
Well, but not an old one.
I mean, you
And
moved to
and
Portland like
and
30 years ago, dude.
But then it was only
Anyway, it
the
doesn't
Arby's in
matter.
the Lloyd Center food court.
It doesn't matter. The point is, old
just
Arby's buildings used to look like a solarium on one side.
just imagine those windows,
Oh,
but in an
so
Arby's setting.
oh, okay. See, if you'd have gone even older, I'd have got it. Like old Taco Bells
That's right.
Or
Really
or
old
old
Taco Bells had
Wendy's.
or
those.
old Wendy's.
So
Okay,
Okay. All
so
right.
maybe it
Now,
was
Wendy's,
just a thing.
So wouldn't it
it
be
was
a
a thing.
stretch that all of the fast food chains really loved the uninvited as well and very
that's
pro
exactly
the
it.
uninvited? That's
Yep.
what
Yes.
that's
Yep.
what
We've
I'm
we've
Yep.
figured it
feeling.
They're
out.
like you. Do you know what people need while eating this square burger? So hear me out. There's this obscure 1944 horror movie, all right? And what I'm saying is, like, we don't have ghosts in our store, our restaurants, but they got this craft room
But
that I
maybe,
think
but
would be
maybe,
pretty sweet
maybe
to
we
have.
do.
Yeah,
Right.
We need a hint of a ghost over here with this Happy Meal, please.
that's right.
Um, let's talk about the granddaughter character because I think
The character of Stella Meredith.
yes, played by I gotta go back to this other page.
Gail Russell.
Gail
Hmm.
Russell, thank you. Uh,
You're
Oh,
welcome.
I know y'all have thoughts.
I like her in it quite a bit. And I think I put in there one of the things is that like she is she does a good job of portraying the Stella as this fragile character, but not weak, which I know sounds weird, but she's in a state that makes her fragile, but she's also not just going to roll over and die. She's not weak for it. Um,
I didn't read that at all. All of the claims that the grandfather made about her being like too, too sickly to make friends or entertain visitors or any of that, I took for just a flat out lie because he didn't want her going over to their house.
Yeah,
At no point did I really get the vibe that she was unwell in any way.
I think all of that was once you get to the end of this and understand the actual truth that's being hidden, every single like going back and looking at those points, it's like, oh, it's because they've been covering up a lie for 17 years.
Hmm.
right.
And not just a lie, they've been covering up two murders
it
and were willing to
happens.
perpetuate a third in order to keep it quiet. It's like
Yeah.
it's the I think that's to me that's what in watching this movie was so impressive is how lighthearted it was, but as you drill down into the plot of the movie, it is dark as fuck.
Yeah.
Like there is Holy Holloway, the woman with the insane asylum,
Hmm.
specifically for women, that's dark. Like her whole motivation of like she was ready to kill a baby. Like every discussion that she had with the commander was, if you had just kind of let me deal with this when she was a kid, i.e., if you had let me just kill the mistress's baby that we've been passing off as Mary's baby, everything would have been fine.
No, it's so
Right.
interesting because it's like when they have that little chat together and she's like so insulted that he would even like compare her to her like
Yeah.
love, like she's like, "Oh, are you insane?" She's
Yeah, I
nothing.
caught that the second time through where he was talking about it's like I've raised her so that she was as much like Mary as she could be. It's like, why would you do that? Oh, because it's not her kid. It was never her kid.
Yeah.
Ugh.
No, there's so many like deep like subplot things that are happening and I wish I mean, I feel like this film is so full. But I also wish that there was like some kind of a sequel or something like that where we could like dive into, or like a prequel, I mean,
Hmm.
like
All right.
into their story before the cliff, because I just think it's so rich. And for me, it's like this story is just for the living. We don't really
Mhm.
see that much about like the ghosts, like they're like POV. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yes.
I kind of wanted that. I haven't, so this comes from a novel, right? And so I haven't read the novel yet, but I want to. Because I wonder if it like covers any of these like topics, and I wonder um like how deep it gets, you know?
Hmm.
because there's a lot of stuff that's unsaid, and I think a lot of it is because of the time that it came out, and it's like like severely like coded, um, you know, but it's very a lot of things are alluded.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
my daughter was watching it and she was like, lesbian. So I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
Yeah.
I recently
100%.
watched Rebecca from
Yes.
1940 for the first time, and then also the remake that just came out.
Oh, I haven't
Uh,
seen the remake yet, but I would say that this is a perfect pairing.
Hmm.
Um,
yes, excellent double feature because it's the same thing. They're like, there's this remarkable, loved by everyone dead woman who just has like this untouchable legacy left behind. And then there's this other woman around the corner who's just like, oh, that's just
y-
dripping with obsession.
yeah, I mean with this one, it's like I'm kind of like it's left a little vague for me. It's like did the grandfather's daughter did Meredith, did she reciprocate, did she actually, or was this all imagined, because she seems insane anyways and very
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
controlling. So it's like, was this like, did she just like concoct this whole thing in her head? Because you just don't know. Because like the dad, his vibes are like very does not understand that this is like his daughter's like maybe girlfriend,
Hmm.
like
Right.
he's like I feel like almost like he doesn't know, but then I'm trying to remember because he kind of like explains stuff a little bit when he's back in the room and he's like almost like dying.
Hmm.
So it's like it's one of those films where I feel like I have a grasp, and then when I think about it, I'm like, I have to rewatch it again because there's just too much going on.
Yeah.
This
It,
movie is so dense. The whole plot line about the Holloway character and whatever that relationship may or may not have been technically isn't necessary, but it does add
Nope.
richness and it helps move
right.
the revelations along. But they
It
could have like
Hmm.
worked in another way to put that in there. All
yeah.
it does is leave you with this character that you want to know more about, but there's no more room for her in the
And
movie as it
yeah,
exists.
yeah, it's kind of the second act that like you're not expecting and you're so derailed and you're like, wait, it's like you're going on a roller coaster and you're like, wait, what? Was that like a snow monster? What are we oh, is this it? Okay.
And that's a product of making a movie based off of a book. There is so much context that gets left out. I would guarantee that the book to get goes spends way more time on Holloway and Mary Meredith and whatever their history was and what other sort of involvement existed there. I bet we would also learn a lot more about the father, who is barely mentioned. Um,
I don't think they
ex
ever even say his first name.
I don't think so either. But like I was left wondering, I'm like, okay, so father is married to Mary Meredith and had an affair with Carmel, but like, but did he also love Carmel? Or was it just an affair of convenience because she was his model? And like, did he want to stay with his wife and raise his baby as though it was their baby? Or was that like, like what hand did he have in any of this? And did he really love Carmel? And, did he try to protect his daughter from the truth, or was he always like kind of slyly trying to let her know? Because when you think about all of the things that Stella says about her mother that she learned from her father, it was always coded in such a way that seems like,
Hmm.
okay, he wanted you to know about your real mother but couldn't tell you, kind of thing.
So it's while you're kind of bringing up, like, I want to read the book, I just kind of clicked on the link about the book. And while you were talking, I did like a 30-second deep dive into the author, Dorothy McCardle.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of what you're saying in the movie and might be in the book kind of ties in what I'm kind of just armchair psychology here. So she grew up like a staunch Irish republicanism, which is no British rule at all. Her dad was Irish and taught her to like love her roots, and he did not. He was also a believer of Ireland for Ireland, no British rule. Her mom, who she also loved, was a pretty strong Anglophile,
Mm.
and there's a lot, just a little bit, just reading a little bit of her being torn by two different backgrounds, and then eventually deciding on, yeah, Irish Republic, mainly because of her first job in London, where she got tired of hearing British people talk down about the Irish and how they just can't possibly self-govern. So much so that she helped form a party that eventually became the main party that Sinn Féin became a part of. You should read about her. This chick was fascinating.
How interesting. Yeah,
She helped
that
form another.
deserves
She
its
helped
own
form this
deep
like freedom
dive.
party, and then I apparently a few years into it, she's like, "You all don't care enough women about enough about women, so I'm out. I'm starting another party. Fuck you," kind of vibe.
How interesting.
Uh, yeah. So
I mean, I think it's great also when you think about this film, it's so like female driven, with
It
the
really is.
characters, the
mhm.
the very just like so delicious like characters to play, for women and not just like leading the males like forward, actually the focal point. And I feel like Rick and the grandfather and obviously the dad, they're, in the back, which is nice,
Mhm.
especially in a genre film and of that time, So I love it.
Yeah, you could almost label the Roderick character as like comic relief. It's the movie is sort of filmed as like in a perspective that implies he's the main character, but
Hmm.
it's really not about him. It's not even his
He's
decision to
not.
buy this house.
Yeah.
No.
And I don't know, in terms of like the romantic element between him and Stella, it's well, I mean, it's always hard for me to read those because A, it's a movie, so it's a truncated uh, series of romantic events that lead to, oh, well, we're gonna get married. And also it's from a different time where it also doesn't take a lot of time. There's not a lot that happens between meeting someone and deciding to marry them. Uh, so
Yeah.
um, so it's always
Yep.
hard for me to really gauge those those elements of an older film like that. But in the beginning, he doesn't seem to have any romantic interest in Stella, but he sure as hell does by the end. And the only reason that happens is because Stella comes around.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
think I think in the beginning he's like, "Oh, who's this like little twerp?" And then she's also standing and like trying to like kill the deal, so she's messing with business already and he doesn't even know her. And then there's like a point, I guess, where they make sure the audience knows that she's 20, because she's
Mhm.
like playing it so young and she's just so I don't know. She's just like a deer caught in headlights all the time, but yet very like strong and brave. I like the way that we were like describing her that I mean for me, her character, I'm kind of going on a side like
No.
journey, but her character is she's kind of like soft-spoken, but she means business. Like she's not afraid to like lie and say her grandfather's not home and tell them to like get the fuck out of there,
Hmm.
Like so she's like sure of herself and sure what she wants, but she's just not in charge of everything yet. And I like to go back to what you were talking about, Denise, about like the grandfather and how you didn't believe that she was like physically weak. I think that was definitely a power move for the grandfather. And then I think that's where Mary Meredith gets all of her like rage and control is like from growing up with that as a father figure, like having to control everything. And to even go further, I
Oof.
think she probably brought that into her marriage, and then it was like a marriage of convenience because like we go into the backstory of she was like high society, and she like I don't think it would have been okay for her to have a girlfriend, so she had to get like like get married, but yet like it's all of this like stuff happening that they just like casually mention. And it's like literally, if you take your eyes off of the screen or look at your phone for a second, you lost like in 1 minute you lost like half of the the crucial plot points. Like
Hmm.
everything is so like concise and so sharp. It's crazy.
Hmm. Yeah, I watched it twice and I still don't feel like I have everything. Also, the entire everything that you just said about how like, oh, okay, Mary Meredith and her family, obviously a very like rigid, controlled, proper family. That is another parallel to Rebecca,
Yeah.
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's the way she was able to have her own way and everything was because what's he gonna do? Like fight back against her or get a divorce? That would be so improper. You know, your family name would be ruined. And so you're absolutely burdened or you're absolutely like tied to this like awful situation in your life because you're shackled to propriety. Um,
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing about this was also that this film was meant to be a Hitchcock film. So it was
Yeah,
all lined
yeah,
up, and then he had scheduling conflicts, and they just gave it to Lewis Allen. So I'm not sure how much, like, how involved Hitchcock was in the prep, but like I always say, this is the most Hitchcockian uh film not directed by Hitchcock. Like when you look at it, it just like visually, I think the whole vibe of the film is very Hitchcock, you know. And then when you're talking about like you know, Rebecca, that's a Hitchcock film, right? So,
I think it
isn't
is.
it? So there you go.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It
And
is.
it came out 4 years earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I wonder also, I mean, like, I don't know if they would say it publicly, but I wonder if like Hitchcock didn't want to do another kind of, because this vibes along the same lines. If I didn't do any, like, I don't know Rebecca's like when it was released by heart, but if it was beforehand, I wonder if he was like, I'll pass, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it was 1940 is when Rebecca came out. That's a really good point. That in all of the parallels, it didn't occur to me that like maybe he like couldn't make it work because it just felt too similar.
Yeah,
Uh,
which is, you know, fine. I mean, I feel like I mean, obviously he wasn't there during filming, I don't think, on the Uninvited. So I feel like Alan did a phenomenal job. I mean,
yeah,
everything just, I mean, also, like, I don't know if we're going to talk about like the crew, but we've got like freaking Edith Head. Are you kidding? Like, she's doing the costuming, and it's so obvious, like, how like iconic these clothes are. They're their own character in the film to me. Like Stella's dress, her white dress, and then she's like fainted and they're carrying her, and then she's like running to the cliffs and everything. It's just, oh, so gorgeous.
yeah.
that white dress
And
is fantastic.
and
I
it looks
believe
like
it's
actually.
the
So go ahead. Sorry.
I think that Stella in the white dress is the image that they use on the Criterion Collection cover
Oh,
of the
this one?
under.
This one
That's
right?
the one.
You
I
talking about
want
this one?
that art. Yes, yes. I
It's
that
so
this thing is.
gorgeous, isn't it? I know.
Hmm.
I want to get like a poster.
Yeah, same.
It's so good. It's
I
worth
just
it's
saw.
worth it's worth
I
it.
just saw the French poster for it is also gorgeous. Let's see. It's more like a
Oh, is this the
watercolor.
one where she's on the cliff?
Yeah. It
Yeah,
gives
it was right
it
after the
gives like
cinema image.
hardcore Wuthering Heights vibes,
Yes.
kind of thing. It's
And the
all of Stevie
lobby
Nicks'
cards are
artwork.
really interesting too, because it's like in the lobby card, because it's black and white, you don't see what colors like these costumes could be. Um, but like one of Stella's dresses they put as like red, because like obviously it looks black on film, but like when they're
Hmm.
doing the seance, it's like red, and I'm like, oh, how interesting. I wonder if they ever color. I mean, I love it black and white, so I don't know if I would necessarily want it to be colored, but if they ever
Right.
did it, you know, the like hand tinting um be interesting if they have any like footage or like archival stuff, you know, from like
Like,
Edith Head or something like that. Or I don't know if any of the costumes survived, because it's like for me, this is like one of my favorite films, and so I think it's popular, but talking with everybody, like nobody seems to know what this film is. Even though I like was looking on different lists, like best haunted house, best of this, and it's on there, and I'm like, why is nobody watching this? So it's like I feel like it's so underappreciated, especially because like for me, everything still holds up. Like the score, we haven't even gotten into the score. We've
The
got like what,
score is
10 minutes
amazing.
left, like by
That's all
Victor
right.
Hmm.
Young. Like it's incredible and how whimsical and then how it turns to dread on a dime and how all of
Hmm.
everybody's like
Does all that.
all of that stuff. And then you guys know about, sorry, I'm like talking so much. Sorry, Cable.
No, dude,
No,
that's good.
That's okay.
you're the
That's exactly what the
experts.
segment is supposed to be.
But so there is a popular jazz standard called, well, okay. So
Oh, Stella, yeah.
Stella by Starlight, right? And then so
Hmm.
Victor Young, the composer, just came up with that for the film. And then so later on it became a popular jazz standard. And so like people
Huh.
like Frank Sinatra and was it Miles Davis?
Miles
Charlie
I'm
Davis.
Parker,
yeah,
Chet Baker, Charlie Parker. Yeah.
all of these really popular, wonderful, talented singers took it on. So isn't that wonderful? Like, who would have thought that that was connected to the Uninvited of all things?
Had no
Yeah.
idea.
So
An
crazy.
other little nerdy thing about that kind of related to the song. So one of the last things he directed for TV was it looks like it was like a made-for-TV thriller starring Frank Sinatra. Right when Frank Sinatra had recorded that song and it was becoming popular. And
Oh,
they didn't put two and two
wow.
together until they were in production, I guess, that like how much they were kind of responsible for each other having hits. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
How wonderful. And then
Yeah.
also, can I talk a little bit about, I mean, I don't know if we were planning to, but okay, these visual effects are so insane and they hold up so well. I don't know. You guys like first watching, when I watched it, I got chills. Like just because like a couple times I watched it when I was all alone and at night and I was like so scared it was me and my cat. And I'm like, girl, you better not leave me because I'm gonna die.
The in camera like ghost effects is super impressive.
Yeah,
I
they are.
I've
It's
been
almost
trying
like
to
they
do
found a way to
research. Go ahead.
well, I mean, if he comes from a theater background, I wonder if they found a way to film a Pepper's Ghost on a large scale.
That's what people are telling me because I did a post like because I was bugging all of my like animator friends and like somebody tell me because I was like going crazy because I like facts, right? And so I was researching and like this film isn't heavily documented. Like there's no like behind the scene, there's nothing. I guess like nobody cared back then, which not great. But anyways, like
Yeah.
Lost. So I was like trying to ask because like I'm a fan of this stuff, but I don't know all of like these like fun techie terms and stuff. But yeah, I've been seeing a lot about like Pepper's Ghost and then in camera double
Hmm.
exposures. And then here's a little fun fact. So the director, Lewis Allen, was adamant about not wanting to show the ghosts at all in the film, and had a huge fight with the studios and ultimately lost. And so they put in the ghost. Um, it was like after they were done filming. So I know it had to be done during like post production, like the editing,
Okay.
So I'm guessing that they somehow slid it in. And it looks like I can talk to you guys about this because you've seen it, but it kind of feels like they did some kind of weird double exposure, like on some stage or something, and then looped it in and then kind of embellished it with some kind of animation because of like, how flowy it is? Like that all looks like animation to me and not like
Right.
in camera work. It looks like an artist like drew it. You know what I
Huh.
mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I wish somebody would just tell me what they did. Like, just tell me. Because
Well, I
everybody's
wonder if
like
it
speculating online, and I'm like, yeah, no, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. I don't know about that, but maybe.
I wonder if there's not a lot on it because unlike Universal, Paramount was never known as like was never known for like a whole genre on its own. But like I mean, we even call these monsters the universal monsters, you know. And
Right.
I think even by the 19 mid 1930s, Universal was like, we're kind of onto something here, so let's film as much as we can of everything to keep it going, kind of thing.
Mm. Yeah.
Although what's funny is speaking about Universal stuff, even though they were kind of on the decline, their monster movies, they were still kind of almost guaranteed hits. The Uninvited outperformed House of Frankenstein and The Invisible Man's Revenge that same year.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was up against like some heavy hitters from the studio that did horror, you know?
Yeah. I
And
mean,
that
it,
might explain why it's not better known. It just didn't get as many eyes to begin with.
Well, no, it beat them all when it
It
first came out.
outperformed.
It outperformed them all.
That is what you said.
Uh,
I don't know
but
then.
well, but it also could be a thing like I had mentioned earlier is that like Paramount was not known for horror. At that time, they were grand spectacles, you know, from coming to you from Paramount, the greatest adventure. Like that was their jam, which is probably why Indiana Jones fits so there. Like their background was like the pulp stuff.
Mm.
yeah.
Um,
I wonder if they just didn't,
so
they
they just didn't
ended
think
up,
about it.
it came out, maybe it was just like it had to come out and then maybe they didn't, I mean, when these films are coming out, it's like they didn't have at-home video. I'm actually
Hmm.
surprised that it was so dense of a story because I mean, if you when you watch it just one time, it's like, did I catch everything?
Yeah.
So maybe that's it too. Maybe like the first wave of the audience, maybe it took at home viewing, like, like rentals and things like that to really appreciate this film for all it's worth, where you could see it again and again. I mean, technically you could go back and watch, like pay for another film, but I don't know, like, how many people would do that back then.
Yeah, no, there weren't a lot of revivals, a lot of revival film series back then.
So I was looking at images of Pepper's Ghost, the Pepper's Ghost technique, and it seems like that one that tends to, come out pretty crisp, in terms of like the features and stuff. And
Hmm.
so, um, I don't know, to me it kind of looked like, that old-timey like overlay, like not green screen, but like whatever the early equivalent was, where they just sort of put up
Yeah.
superimpose the other shot on top of the, I keep like raising my hand to do the
Right. Well,
zoom hand
also,
raise.
I don't know if
Plus
they were
the
doing this yet.
animation, like Anastasia was saying.
Yeah, I've seen some of the clips of the animation too, and it kind of look, you're right, kind of has an animated quality, but also I've seen like techniques where you like underexpose a camera and you mess with the, with the gates and stuff, and then you film things through clear water, like a perfectly clear aquarium, and you
Ye-
get that ethereal movement, but then you're not letting as much light in anyway, so it's looks even darker and weirder, and then you just take that and lay it over. I don't know.
That seems more likely, just purely based on the descriptions of the
Hmm.
techniques.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think about the scenes because I'm trying to think because this would probably have to have been after the everything was filmed. So I don't know if they would go back and do like a pickup shots, like with the cast and everything. So I'm guessing that a lot of it was done also like post, like in an editing room too, like laying those, things out.
Right. You know, the other reason why it may not have done much once it had a theatrical run or wasn't really heavily promoted, even though it did well. Um, like Anastasia, you had mentioned it about him not wanting the ghosts. It looks like the director fought with the studio over a lot of things. And I could see a studio head's ego being like, you know what, we're going to release it, but then, you know what, that's it.
Yeah,
Screw
people
that
get
guy. Screw that
spiteful.
guy. But then it made money and he's like, oh,
Hmm.
crap, I have to keep working with him. You
God
know?
damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. The director, Lewis Allen, I mean, like he's more known for like these tough guy films, and then he did
Hmm.
a lot of like TV. So he didn't really come back into like the genre or I mean, I feel like this film is it hits a lot of different, like I view it as a comedy. I view it as a like a suspenseful thriller, a romance. It hits a lot of, it's hard to like pigeonhole hole it, which I think is great because I find my favorite films it's hard to define. And I wish studios would like pay attention to that because that's like a lot of audience want a big experience, not always
Yeah.
just like so hyper focused. And I thought it was really interesting also, real quick, it's like we're used to all of these what do you call it, like jump scares and these major sound effects. I mean, when you think about the time that this film came out, we were just what it was like it's only been like 12, 15 years since silent films, and so they're just
Hmm.
getting used to
Hmm.
like scoring and doing sound design and things like that. And I just thought that this was just a really full film, and I feel like it holds up and the scares really get me. And it's like I'm on like the edge of my couch, the edge of my seat, like
It's
waiting for something to come. But then it's like at a drop of the hat, the next moment, uh, you know, Rick, he's running into his room and it's almost like a Laurel and Hardy bit with him like
yeah.
jumping into bed and then the door slamming. So you're kind of like, wait, was that real? Because it's like they take it so seriously, which is great, and they respect the ghost. And they're like, okay, so we've got ghosts in our freaking new house. Like, how do we deal with this? We got to get him out?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, and I was
I really enjoy the different vibes that you get throughout the movie. It does go from being very like whimsical and lighthearted to really creepy and also just like I don't know what you call it, the family drama, like the a suspense in terms of like, all of these secrets that have been kept quiet for 20 years.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting, like the dynamic between like Stella and Rick, because it's like she kind of like bears her soul to him, and he's like, haha, let's skip and sing. Like it's
hmm
fine. We're gonna be fine. And she's like, no, like literally, you want me to forget about my past? Like my mother died, and she's like, not even my mother. I've got some trauma, and he's like, it's fine. Let's just like skip inside and have a drink.
I'm
yeah.
also seeing it come up a lot on a lot of different like blogs and such as a queer cult film, which again is another thing that Rebecca is known for nowadays. Uh,
Yes. I love it.
Yeah, I was actually when I was watching and I was like, "Oh, this might actually out subtext The Haunting," which came out like a decade later. Because that's also definitely seen as like a queer film. Um, so yeah, I don't know where my brain went to the connect really quick there, but but the thing that did also pop in my head because we're kind of getting close here. Someone wanted to do like a almost like a tonal marathon. Sometimes you'll do a movie marathon kind of based on themes in terms of like this was the start, which suggested this film because it influenced this writer. You kind of do that kind of stuff
mhm.
when you watch movies sometimes. And the thing that just popped in my head is that I wonder how much the film, the writers and director behind the film, The Changeling, were inspired by The Uninvited, the George C. Scott 1980 Canadian horror film. Um, because when I thought about it in my head, I'm starting to see a lot of like parallels about also fully acknowledging like, no, the ghosts are real. The trauma's real, but so are also the ghosts. And now we're gonna make them
Hmm.
deal with both of them, kind of thing.
So buckle
So if you
up.
haven't get a chance, watch The Changeling. It's also a very good film.
Is that
Yes.
1980?
Yep, with George C. Scott. Yeah. It's very good. Uh, well, yeah, I think that's good for this time. How's everybody else feel?
I'm good
I think so.
in terms of last thoughts.
Also, I feel
Definitely,
like my internet connection is beginning to get wonky. I was like, what's going on?
I know.
Sure.
Um, yeah, no, I think we've pretty much covered it. I would definitely recommend this to other people if they haven't seen it. And definitely double feature with Rebecca. I'll have to check out The Changeling. I'm not familiar with that one.
Right. It's good. Yeah, check it out if you ever get a chance, for sure.
Uh,
Um,
I think the last note that I have is that Dr. Scott went on to play Alfred the Butler in the 1966 Batman TV show,
yeah.
which is why he was so goddamn familiar the entire time I was watching this.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice catch.
Yeah,
Hmm.
100%. Well, with that, I am Aron Duran.
I am Rita.
And I'm Cable Hashitani.
And I think I'm still Anastasia Elfman.
You are still Anastasia. We will see you in about a month for another installment. But for everyone else, we will see you in 2 weeks with, I think, special guests Sarah Dillon and Greg Nibbler.
Yeah.
Woohoo! All right,
Cool.
bye everybody.